You don't work? School? Between jobs?
Time here, so please feel free to ask him questions. And Dr. Jackson, welcome for coming then.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's great to be here. Thank you. Appreciate it. All set with the lapel microphone. Professor Pizarro, thank you so much. But it's great to be here with you. As Dr. Pizarro mentioned, he asked me to join you 2 weeks ago. And this is a very busy time of year for us in the United States, especially myself being a program director. Next week, for example, we have our annual gala, which I'm putting together, but I could not say no. I could not say no because, this is an opportunity to talk to some wonderful students and, importantly, see if we can make some connections between yourselves and my university as well. So my university is in Georgia. It's 45,000 students. We have 10,000 students in our business school. And I lead a program which I started at Kennesaw State University 3 years ago. And today we have almost 150 students in that major. This is my 22nd year in academia. And as you might be able to tell from my accent, I was born in Jamaica. So I'm Jamaican, Canadian, and American. So I have 3 citizenships as well. But it's great to be with you. And today we're going to talk about a topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart. Several years ago, I did some research on medical tourism, which, the paper got published in a top journal. And I have a strong passion for wellness tourism as well. What drove the passion as well was my visit to India. I visited India last year, and wellness tourism is a big issue there. It's a great topic. But also, the Virgin Islands is highly dependent on tourism, right? And wellness tourism is another area that can be used to diversify the tourism product that the wonderful, beautiful Virgin Islands has to offer. So I'm going to talk about this topic today with you. Please do not be shy. Okay? If you're shy, I'm going to call on you, right? So ask questions. No question is off the table. And importantly, I'm a resource right now for you to use. So please feel free to use me as a resource, right? So very quickly, you have my contact information, so you don't have to worry about this email here. Right? Everyone has my business card. So this is the outline I have for you. We're going to talk about wellness tourism, just to provide a scope and definition as to what it is. We'll also talk about some key factors that are driving the growth of wellness tourism globally. It's one of the latest trends in the tourism industry. We'll talk about the components as well. What compromises or constitute wellness tourism? So when we're talking about wellness tourism, what are the key elements of this great and growing industry? I'll also discuss some opportunities and strategies that destinations and businesses can pursue to capitalize on this growing segment of the global tourism industry. Then we'll touch on some current trends in the sector and how we can capitalize on the trends. I know some of you would have taken entrepreneurship classes. When there's a trend, what you try to do is ensure that it is a trend and not a fad, and then you capitalize on the opportunities that trends create. And then very quickly, when we talk about wellness tourism, does anyone know what that means? Wellness tourism. What comes to mind? What comes to mind? Wellness tourism. Yes, sir. And what's your name again? Salib.
I would say a feel good, get this feeling where it looks like somewhere you would actually want to go.
Somewhere where you want to?
To actually
go and visit. Here you go. All right. Anyone else?
Okay.
Go for it. And you get my last pie now. There you go, yeah.
When I think of wellness tourism, I think of spiritual healing and tranquility.
That's perfect. Because wellness tourism is aimed towards doing things for the mind, body, and soul. So spirituality is also part of wellness tourism. You're absolutely correct. So very quickly, so it's intentional travel, where people travel to improve their health and well-being. Okay? So it's intentional travel where people travel to improve their health and well-being. Okay? And as a result, we call them wellness tourists. Okay? Wellness tourists. So again, very important to note that this is a very significant industry. Currently, it is projected by McKinsey, one of the leading research firms, to grow to up to $1.5 trillion. okay? And it is a burgeoning industry because it's growing between 5 to 10% per year, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it here. Because as I mentioned earlier, the VI economy is highly dependent on tourism. And this is an area that can be capitalized on. Why? Because, just take a look here, $1.5 trillion, that's a projection, and it's growing at 5 to 10% per year. So it's growing faster than all the major segments in the hospitality and tourism industry, which my hospitality and tourism professionals sitting right here, you would have covered in your intro classes, right? All the segments. So fastest growing segment. And this is also very important for us as well. 1 in 10 people currently travel to get medical treatment. 70% travel for cosmetic surgery, spa, dieting, and supervised exercise to increase their wellness, okay, how they feel about themselves. In March, I went to Korea, and my hostess, her sister works in the United States, but she came back to Korea to do cosmetic surgery. She wanted her eyes to look different. Okay? She wanted more Western eyes, right? So what did she do? She traveled back home as a tourist to get a medical procedure done, right? So in essence, although it was her home, she was a medical tourist. Why? Because she went to get a medical procedure. She doesn't live there permanently. Therefore, she participated in Korea's medical tourism industry. All right, so as I mentioned before, a nice way to think about wellness tourism is travel to heal the mind, body, and soul, okay? So if you want a nice, well-synthesized definition of wellness tourism, it's tourism activity that focuses on healing the mind, body, and soul. So for practitioners or service providers, you can capitalize on this trend by creating product service mix that focuses on healing individuals' mind, body, and soul. All right, moving along, just very quickly. So for a destination, wellness tourism comprises the sum of relationships that results from trips by individuals whose motives are, 1, to wholly and solely maintain or promote their well-being or health. So this is intentional travel where people are engaged in activities that are focused primarily on promoting their health and well-being, okay? And very quickly as well, it also enables or enhances a person's physical, psychological, or spiritual or social well-being. So physical. So I might go on a vacation because I want to improve, I want to do some exercise, right? I might start to feel the effects of old age. So I might go on a vacation to work out, okay? Also psychological. Most of you have heard a term recently of, what's the term we use these days? You've heard it, has to do with mental health. I'm not sure if you're experiencing it here, but almost every week I get an email from one of our students, "Oh, Dr. Jackson, I need a mental health day." Have you guys, please don't do it if you haven't done it. Have they done it? Why? Because especially post-COVID, we're seeing a lot of mental health issues, right? And part of what wellness tourism done is address mental health issues. Okay, so we have a lot of meditation retreats. In India, when I went there in December, I visited a university, and they have a wellness center that focuses on the students' mental health. So there's a center where students can go and relax and meditate to improve their mental health. Okay, that is all part of wellness tourism. So if someone travels, for example, because they have mental health challenges and they want mental health healing, that's also part of wellness tourism. I was sharing with Professor Pizarro, one of the companies that I work with in Atlanta, the owner of a portfolio of hotels, he's currently creating a mental wellness institute in South Carolina. where people can go on vacation and to meditate and improve their mental health. So again, this is a growing area that a lot of money is currently being invested in. So very quickly, the concept itself, wellness, comes from psychology. Okay? There's a concept called positive psychology. So positive psychology, talk about it very quickly, the term itself was first coined in 1998, okay? And was coined by this person. His name is Martin Seligman, okay? He was a psychologist, but he decided that most psychological research and discipline and areas of the discipline focus on negative aspects. A lot of psychology, he said, was just focused on healing diseases, curing people with ills. So he came up with the term because he wanted to use psychology for positive things. Hence, the term wellness. Okay, so the term wellness tourism came from the concept of positive psychology. So positive psychology focused on creating positive outcomes that are going to improve individuals' health. So when we talk about well-being, which is where wellness comes from, we talk about human flourishing, so people doing well, okay? People feeling well and being well, meaning I feel good. For example, right now I'm with you, I feel good, okay? So you're actually helping my mental state, okay? So all of those are geared towards creating positive outcomes for individuals, feeling good about themselves, okay? So keep that in mind. The term wellness tourism and the well-being as used in tourism came from the concept of positive psychology. Has anyone ever heard the term positive psychology before? Okay, so positive psychology is, again, it came out in 1998, is focusing on individuals and finding ways to think positive about themselves, as opposed to trying to use psychology to cure ills. Okay, so that's positive psychology. All right, so wellness tourism, so we use the term widely. So some of you, for example, hospitality majors, you may have seen these terms before. So quite often the term is used to describe a wide or broad range of activities. So spa tourism. So most of what currently happens in wellness tourism is spa tourism, where people travel and engage in tourism-related products and services to feel well, to access spas, okay, globally. So spa tourism, New Age tourism. Does anyone know what New Age tourism is? New Age tourism. So New Age tourism is a different way of looking at tourism. So New Age tourism comprises travel that is socially responsible, okay? So it also incorporates sustainability. So a person who engages and practices New Age tourism, they will not patronize areas that are not sustainable. So they want to stay in hotels that are green hotels. They want to make sure that they minimize their carbon footprints when they travel, and that's called New Age tourism. So New Age tourism focuses on environmentalism. It also focuses on sustainability and doing good for others. So that's New Age tourism. Volunteer tourism. Does anyone know what that is? Volunteer tourism.
Is that sort of like when missionaries have to travel to do work and stuff like that?
Absolutely, that's part of it. Absolutely. So volunteer tourism is when a tourist or a person travels, and when they travel, they help with a social cause. So last year, my daughter went to Thailand, and when she went there, she was part of a group that went and cleaned the beach. The beach was polluted with plastics, so when she went there, she volunteered to help clean up the beach. So I asked her, so you left your country, and you went to clean up another country, and you paid for it? And she said, yes, because I felt good doing it, because it's the right thing to do, okay? So that's also part of the one I talked about earlier, New Age tourism, right? Environmentalism. But she paid her money to go to Thailand to clean a beach, okay? So that's volunteer tourism. And of course, health tourism, where people travel to engage in activities that are going to improve their health. which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then outdoor recreation, sports, yoga tourism. Does anyone here do yoga? No? So yoga tourism is actually very old. It's not new. This is where people travel to engage or practice yoga. So I was born in Jamaica. I grew up in Jamaica. And I remember every year, back in the 80s, long before you guys were born, you were in heaven flying around trying to find a place to land, of course, right? But I remember there was a group of yoga practitioners who always, from Boston, who always visited a resort in Jamaica. How did I know? Because my family, they were friends with the people who owned that resort. But they were practicing yoga. And this is where people travel to engage in yoga. Why do people do yoga? Because it's an activity that makes them feel good about themselves. Okay? Hence, it's part of wellness tourism. And of course, as you correctly pointed out, spiritual and religious tourism. Can you think of a religious or spiritual tourism event that is huge? Or just anyone? Can you think of one?
Yes, I would. Yeah. I'll say Hajj, when they go to Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely, and they go to Mecca. It's one of the biggest tourism events in the world every year. Absolutely correct. So that's also part of wellness tourism. Why do people go on these pilgrimage? Why do people go on these religious pilgrimage? Because they want to feel good about themselves, right? If I go participate in these religious activity, I'm doing something for myself that makes me feel good about myself. I'm getting intrinsic value from it, okay? And then medical tourism. Medical tourism is where individuals travel intentionally to take care of a medical issue that they face. There's one country in the Caribbean right now that a significant portion of their tourism income comes from medical tourism. Which country is it? DR? So DR is great for cosmetics because, you know, I want a bigger muscle. I go to the DR. I want some Botox. I go to the DR. Where else? Brazil, yep, for all those Brazilian, you know what, lift. Okay, what else? Colombia as well. Colombia has great eye medications, treatment. Where else? Trinidad. Turkey also. Caribbean. Martinique, okay, Martinique, which is French, of course. Cuba as well, massive, huge, and Barbados. And I'll talk a little bit about Barbados shortly. But Cuba actually is a leader in the Caribbean in medical tourism. As a matter of fact, one of Cuba's best exports right now are its doctors. Okay, so they're great. They have great facilities. Anyone has ever been to Cuba?
Yeah,
Cuba? You had eye surgery in Cuba, so you were a medical tourist. There you go. Perfect example. But they have great facilities, great medical care in Cuba, and as a matter of fact, they have some of the most revolutionary and useful treatments. Professor and I were talking earlier, Cuba is a leader in diabetes treatment, for example. So Americans are not allowed to travel freely to Cuba, but what we do have is what is called circumvent tourism. I don't know if you guys talked about it, where Americans, they circumvent traveling directly from America to Cuba, and they go to Canada, and then they fly from Canada to Cuba, or they go to Jamaica, and they fly from Jamaica to Cuba to get treatment. Okay, so significant portion of their tourism income comes from medical tourism. So they're a leader in this area as well. All right, so very important for you. So keep in mind that these activities essentially lead to increased levels of wellness, health, quality of life, and are defined as element of wellness tourism. So all of these areas right here are all elements of wellness tourism. So what are the factors driving the growth of this industry? What do you think is driving this industry? What are some factors? Price. So price is a major factor. So for example, in the United States as well, people travel to Mexico to get eye procedures done, to get dental care done, right? Why? Because it's more expensive in the United States, right? So price is one factor. What else do you think?
People interest the market.
People interest in the...
Want to be their better self.
Yes, people want to be their better self, so they want to go there, get their whatever treatment they want to get done. Absolutely. What else? Yes, sir. Popularity. So therefore, it has been tried by others, and it's so word of mouth, or in these days, social media. So influencers, for example, have led to the growth of these. So these are some factors. So one of the reasons why people want to get away is because increasingly they're faced with hectic lifestyle and pace, and they want to slow down. Okay? In a lot of developing economies, like in the United States, people are always constantly on the move. You guys have experienced that as well, right? So sometimes people just want to get away. Okay? So my friend from Korea, for example, she's in Bali right now, but she went to Indonesia because she just wanted to get away. She wanted to get away, and she can work remotely. Okay? So she's there working remotely, but she wanted to detach herself. The phrase she used is she wanted to detach and detox. Okay? And then she does some kind of crazy things. This is on YouTube, so I have to be careful. She does cave diving as well, and that's part of her relaxation. Okay? But again, because of the hectic lifestyle, she just wanted to detach and get away. Okay? So that's one thing. High levels of workforce stress. Okay? So we work hard. Quite often it's very stressful, and we just want to get away. So we go to places that provide wellness tourism activities so we can feel good about ourselves. Loss of traditional community structures and religious organizations. So many years ago, people used to find solace in community organization. Okay? You could talk to people who you know. And quite often, religious organizations were those places where people could find solace. In several places, especially in developed countries, those no longer exist, right? So as a result, people want to go to places where they can find that solace. As such, they engage in wellness tourism activities. Desire to slow down, simplify, and find meaning in life. So my friend, who I just told you is in Bali right now and does cave diving, that's what she's on. She's on a journey. She's on a journey of self-discovery, right? So a lot of people go through that where they're trying to find meaning to life, right? And they go on these discoveries, right? Hence, the growth of wellness tourism. Health costs. You mentioned health costs as well. So escalating health costs in a lot of developing countries are forcing individuals to find alternatives, okay? Alternatives could be in Cuba, okay, or in Barbados as well, those places. Skepticism over the cost of Western medicine. So people sometimes want more natural treatment, right? They don't want the synthetic medicine, and as a result, they move towards areas that have alternative treatments where they can engage in. And then the desire to live a healthy life. How many folks here do not want to live a healthy life? There you go, right? So the desire to want to live a healthier life has forced people to engage in a lot of our wellness tourism activity. And then also desire to experiment and use holistic alternative treatment. In Jamaica growing up, we call it bush treatment. I don't know if they do it here, but the joke is, growing up as a kid in Jamaica, I was given tea for anything. Same thing here?
Same here.
I have a headache, in Dominica as well. I have a headache, okay, go drink some tea. And they find a bush and they make a tea. Exactly, there you go. I break my leg, okay, go drink some tea. Okay? So, again, the great thing is that now, science has actually proven that a lot of those bush, they actually have medicinal purpose. Especially the famous one from Jamaica. which is what's Jamaica kind of known for? What bush, that green stuff? Weed, marijuana, right? So now, there you go. So growing up as a kid, that was also, you get it for whatever ailments you have, but now research has proven all its medicinal properties, right? And now, asthma, glaucoma, all different types of medical ailments, epilepsy as well. So it's a very powerful, I don't want to say drug, it's a very powerful herb in many ways, okay? Absolutely. All right, so let's move along very quickly. So what we're seeing now is, a nexus or cross between medical tourism and wellness tourism. These are two distinct areas, all right? And I'll explain what they are shortly. But what we're seeing is a nexus or a cross between both. So the countries that have really benefited from wellness tourism, health tourism, medical tourism are the ones that have effectively find ways to leverage both areas, okay? So very quickly again, so these are just some examples of medical tourism. So now we have medical hotels. In Cuba, for example, I think you stayed in a hotel when you were there. So they have dedicated medical facilities that are part of hotels for foreigners. There's one set for foreigners who are medical tourists and one set for locals, right? So you go to Cuba for medical treatment, you're going to stay in one of those hotels. Those are called medical hotels. So we're seeing all of these grow, medical spas. And then we have beauty enhancement treatments, like the Brazilian thing we just talked about, okay? Very famous Brazilian BL. That's it, right? Brazilian BL, right? The DR is also known for Botox treatment, right? Botox and other enhancement, right? Why do people engage in these? Because they want to feel good about themselves, okay? Hence the term wellness, okay? It's not for us to criticize one way or the other. If a person goes to Brazil to get that BL, they do it because they want to feel good about themselves, right? And that's part of well-being, which goes all the way back to positive psychology, where you're doing things that will enhance your body, your mind, your spirit, and importantly, you feel good about yourself. Skincare, okay? So skincare as well. People also travel to get different types of skincare treatments, and most often, these are natural skincare treatments that they're getting. All right, so very quickly, if you want to take some notes here. So the broad umbrella for medical and wellness tourism is healthcare tourism. Why? Because it covers the medical side and the wellness side, okay? Health tourism is essentially comprises two broad areas. Medical tourism, where people travel to treat or cure an ailment. So for example, when you traveled to Cuba, you were trying to get a cure for whatever make you get 20/20 vision, right? Almost 20/20, right? So medical tourism was when people travel intentionally to seek a cure or to get a treatment, right? Whereas wellness tourism, you're maintaining or improving something. So for example, if I go to India and I go on a spiritual retreat in India, I'm trying to maintain or improve my mindset, okay? I'm trying to, maybe I have some, stress and I want to go to a meditation place or do some yoga. I'm maintaining or improving my mind. Whereas medical tourism is different, okay? You engage in medical tourism because you're trying to find a cure for something, okay? And you're a tourist, you're traveling to a destination or a place. Very quickly, what differentiates a tourist from an excursionist?
A tourist is there for more art, or an excursionist is looking for more.
A tourist is there.
A tourist is more there for fun, and an excursionist is more on business.
Close but not quite. It actually has to do with length of stay. So the folks who arrive here on the cruise, they're usually day trippers, right? So are they excursionists or tourists? Excursionists, because they don't stay 1 day or more. You become a tourist if you stay 1 day or more. Okay? So if someone came here as a, on a cruise, and while they're here, they got some BLT, or Brazilian whatever, I don't know if it could work, right? Or BL, and they go back, then they're a medical excursionist. So a tourist has to stay 1 day or more to be classified as a tourist.
So is it more beneficial for the community to have tourists
Yes.
than the other format?
Generally speaking, it does, because the longer you stay, the more you spend, and then the more you spend, you have what we call in tourism the multiplier effect, which you guys would have covered, right? The multiplier effect is when new money comes in and it's spent in the local economy, it permeates or multiplies throughout the economy. Okay? That's called the multiplier effect. So the longer a person stays, the more money they spend, which goes for salaries, wage, taxes, etc. So we love when people stay longer. Okay? All right, so those are the two differences. So remember, the general term or the umbrella term is health tourism because it comprises these two areas, medical tourism and wellness tourism. Medical tourism are people traveling intentionally to treat or cure an ailment. Okay? So I could go to Cuba to get treatment for cancer, for example, right? Or to cure whatever ailments I might have. Wellness tourism, on the other hand, I'm going there to improve or maintain something. Could be physical or mindset, right? Which is why this area is growing very, very incrementally. Because in terms of resources to invest, you don't need as much investment here as opposed to here. If it's medical tourism, you're going to have, which we'll talk about shortly, you're going to have to invest in hospitals, okay? You're going to have to purchase high-end equipment, right? So that when I go there to perform a surgery, for example, I don't just disappear under the surgery table, okay? So this requires a lot of investment, whereas this requires investment, but it can be minimal, okay? Which is one of the reasons why it's growing at 5 to 10% each year. All right, so motivational factors, again, these are individual factors. The factors we looked at earlier were societal factors that are driving the growth, right? These are individual factors, okay? So these are the reasons why people are engaging in wellness tourism, relaxation, relief, health and beauty, like, BLT, right? That's a sandwich, right? Friendship and kinship, self-discovery. My friend who is currently in Bali, she's trying to find herself, discover, right? Fitness, weight loss, spiritual motive, all of these, mental well-being, all of these are various individual factors that are pushing or driving individuals to engage in wellness tourism. So there are 6 dimensions. So if you take a look back at these, all of these factors here can be summarized or synthesized into 6 key elements. So these are the elements or dimensions that comprises wellness tourism. So people travel because they want better appearance, okay? So people go to Brazil for BL, right? And then while they're getting their BL, they might eat a BLT, right? So better appearance because it makes them feel good about themselves, right? Better sleep. So how many folks here have sleeping issues? I call myself a functional insomniac. Okay, I sleep 4 or 5 hours, right? But what has helped me recently is the fact that in recent months, I've started to do a lot of meditation. And I learned that when I went to India, I started my meditation, right? And it has helped me sleep a lot better, okay? I could have gone through a structured program when I was there, but I was very fortunate that someone shared with me the process of meditating, and now you can get some videos, etc., and it has helped me sleep better. All right? Better health. People travel because they want better health. Better fitness. Better nutrition. And better mindfulness. So this is where the mental health issue comes in, right? So all of those factors we discussed earlier, you can essentially summarize them into these 6 key components. All of these key components comprise wellness tourism. So businesses are formed around these key areas right here, okay? Better appearance. We have our Brazilian companies giving Botox, BL, all that stuff, right? Those are businesses formed around it. Better sleep, meditation centers, yoga centers, for example, all right? Better health. There are numerous businesses that are formed around this at destinations, right? Better fitness, same thing as well. Better nutrition, and also better mindfulness. All of these key elements have associated business opportunities attached to them as well, which is one of the reasons why this industry has grown so fast. All right, so let's take a look very quickly. So destinations can engage in and capitalize on health tourism, right? So you can start off by providing conventional medical treatment. So for example, in Cuba, that's what they have done. Barbados has also done this as well. And I'll talk about Barbados later on as well. To do that, you must provide medical facilities, great treatment centers. You must be able to provide surgery, have access to the drugs that are needed, qualified medical staff. So you need to have doctors on staff. So what you can start to see here is that these require heavy investment, okay? It does not negate the fact that this is a possibility. For example, as I mentioned, Cuba engages a lot in medical tourism. So they have all of these facilities in place, okay? So for destinations, what they can also do is have branded hospitals. So in Cuba, it might not have been very clear when she traveled there, but they do have branded medical facilities there for medical tourists, which are different from the medical facilities that are accessible by Cubans. Okay? It's different. Like they have 2 healthcare systems, one for tourists and one for locals, and these are branded. But it required heavy investment on the part of the Cuban government. And as I mentioned before, it's one of the most lucrative tourism-related products that they have. People from all over the world travel to Cuba to get medical procedures done. Why? Because Cuba has some of the best doctors in the world. I don't know if you knew this. They have the best medical facilities, by any standard, and some of the best trained doctors, of course, in the world. As I said earlier, their biggest exports are doctors.
Yeah, people go to study. My husband dad went there
To be a vet, and they have great medical universities that teach as well. Absolutely, thank you. So you have those, so conventional medical treatment, and then lots of other destinations are engaged in alternative health treatments. So they invest in spas, yoga centers, traditional medicines, like, Chinese medicine, and for us in the Caribbean, bush tea, right? Bush medicine, Drink some tea to cure your broken leg, You get a bump on your head, go drink some tea, okay? Homeopathy as well, and spirituality. So don't overlook this part here. We're not talking about religion, right? But spirituality is also a cure for the mind. Okay, it's also a cure for the mind. And then, very important, if destinations are engaged in medical or wellness tourism, they also need to have attractive receptive services. You know what receptive services are? Receptive. So receptive services at destinations are services and facilities that receive others. So that could be restaurants. It could also be hotels. They receive or accept others. So all of these are complementary. Cuba, I will use Cuba as well. As I mentioned earlier, they have dedicated receptive services that are there to support their medical and wellness tourism industry. So in those areas, the environmental quality is usually great. It's not in downtown Havana where there's hustle and bustle. It's on the outskirts. So if you're there to heal your mind, body, and soul, you want to have pristine environments, right? You do your surgery or you participate in your yoga. You can go and do wilderness walks, right? So you're at peace with yourself. So these are some of the factors that one would need to invest in to ensure that they can fully participate in wellness and healthcare tourism. So destinations should also decide what areas they're going to focus on, right? Are they going to treat non-critical care patients or critical care? So if it's critical health conditions like cancer, fixing eyes, those are critical, right? So they have to decide if they want to do that because all of those require different facilities and services. If you're going to focus on critical health conditions, you need to have the infrastructure and support that I mentioned earlier. All right, so very quickly, so here are some quick opportunities to leverage the opportunities that these bring. So one of the things that a lot of successful destinations have done, Cuba, for example, and here in the Virgin Islands, it's also possible. You can create partnership with existing service providers. Leverage existing resources that are there. Form partnerships, structured partnerships that provide the services that you don't currently have. So a lot of destinations have done that. They have created mutually beneficial partnerships amongst all the various stakeholders in the service delivery process for wellness tourism.
So I was thinking about that in terms of how would a student, for instance, will figure it out or to start a business like that. And I was thinking that the structure is already here.
Yes.
What it changes is the theme.
Yes.
Right? So they can, with very little money, promote a theme where focus on spirituality.
Yes.
And use the existing structure and market it that way. And you don't have to worry about owning the hotel.
No, you don't.
Create the activities for them, and you partner with the hotel with a special price that you might be able to get even a 10% profit for that and your activity. So that could be a good, and you can create, like we talked in class, a landing page and see if
Yes.
you get enough clicks.
Yes.
To see if people are interested without really investing a lot of money. So this is really good to test, and see what will happen. So I'm thinking,
Absolutely. And that's a guerrilla approach. How much time do we have?
Yeah, we have about
We have more time?
10 minutes
Okay.
to want the students to see if they have questions.
Sure, absolutely. So that's a guerrilla approach, right? And your professor would have shared with you, a guerrilla approach is to leverage other people's resources to get your business accomplished, right? So for example, you can have an idea for a spa, right? You create a theme spa, for example. You partner with hotels, okay? Partner with transportation services, and you can also partner with restaurants who can provide the meals that your clients are going to have. And then you package it. And then everyone gets some benefit from that package. Okay?
I want to tell you a quick story. I went with my wife to Paris. She picked a hotel that she said was a vegan hotel. We got there, and we were paying $250 per night, and it was like 15 years ago. That's a lot of money, right? And we didn't have the person that was helping us with the bags. So
Yes.
I got really upset. And I said, well, we're paying $250. We're not. Well, the woman that was running the hotel rent apartments in a building complex. It wasn't really a hotel, but she was renting, like now that is Airbnb, she was doing it that way. And then the middle, she was a vegan chef. And then the meals, we went and get the meals. The
Yes.
meals were spectacular.
Yes.
Okay, so she had a team there, and then now I changed my attitude, like, oh man, the food is really good, and that's great, and I thought that she was very entrepreneurial, and I realized what she was doing, right? So she
Yes.
didn't own the hotel. She
Yes.
rented apartments. apartments. You have multiple apartments in different buildings in the same complex. And
Yes.
that's how she started. I thought that was great. At the beginning, like, oh, I'm paying all this money,
Yeah.
I care about these people. But then I realized what she was doing.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So that being said, always, create that entrepreneurial mindset where, you're leveraging others' resources to help you accomplish or achieve your goals. So we'll just leave the next few minutes to take some questions. Please feel free to ask me any question. It doesn't have to do with tourism, wellness tourism, but if it does, great. But let's just ask a couple of questions. Yes, sir.
I noticed in the first slide, you mentioned annual growth rates of 5 to 10%, right? Do you think the reason why is because of the inflation?
No, great question. The reason why it's grown so fast is tourism products and services in most jurisdictions have reached their maturity cycle, right? So once products and services reach their maturity cycle, growth stops, right? And new growth can only take place when something new is added. So in most destinations, what they've done is extended their product service offering by having more investment in wellness tourism activity, wellness and medical tourism activity. So that means that those areas are growing faster than traditional tourism product service offering. So that accounts for the growth. No, not at all. No, not at all. Great question. Yeah. More questions? Don't be shy.
Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
I hate to cut you on.
No, you're good. You're good. Thanks for having me.
one thing that I want you to think about in terms of tourism is all about the experience,
Yep.
right? So you want to make sure that those people have the experience that you promised to them. And it's not necessarily the structure. The
Yes.
structure is there. And you get, I mean, in here you're going to have the experience, a cool experience, no matter where you go.
Yes.
Right? So,
Absolutely. So one of the things you want to do with tourism is to try to tangibilize experiences. So one of the first things tourism folks you would have learned is our products and services are intangibles, right? So now what you try to do is tangibilize it using imagery. So people can start to visualize what they're going to expect or experience once they arrive at your place of business, right? And then once they arrive, you want to make sure that you create positive moments of truth, meaning what you advertise is what I get, or more than what I get. And if that happens, then we create what are called wow factors, okay? So you want to always create those wow factors. Thank you. More questions? Yes, sir.
What do cities or countries usually do to make it a touristy place?
What do cities and countries do to make to enhance their tourism product?
To make it a tourist place though? Because I feel like that's feels like a lot to do with the landscape. Whether it's say like an island, whether it's like by like let's say a beach, whether it's like
Great question. So what countries or governments, and as a matter of fact, the United Nations as well. So the United Nations has the United Nations World Tourism Organization, right? So what they've done is, which is what countries have done, is invest in tourism, okay? They have investments. We were talking earlier today. Here, I saw that lift. That lift, the trolley or tram? The tramway. Why did they invest in that?
To see the top.
To see the top. Who wants to see the top? Tourists. How many locals have ever used it? There you go. So they invest in services, facilities to enhance the experience. To enhance the experience. So the more you do so, the more competitive you become. Okay? Think about it. That experience on the tram is, how many folks have used it? 0. 1? You did it once, right? Because it's not for you, it's for tourists. These folks are here for a few hours, right? And they're here for a few hours. They're stopping at different ports in the Caribbean. Every port has the same thing. Beautiful water, beautiful sandy beach, nice souvenir shops that, empty their pockets, right? So the government here wanted to do something different. What do you have here? High mountains, right? And from those high mountain tops, tourists can take beautiful photographs that they're going to post on social media. So there's something for them. So what they've done, the government has done here, by adding this facility, they've extended the product service offering and made it more attractive. So they invest in facilities and services, but also in the perception of the destination as well. So they will invest in services that help to promote the destination as a safe place where people can go and have great experiences without having to feel as if their safety is going to be compromised. Okay?
I think it's the excursions, like the boating excursions.
Yes.
To different islands, and they'll go to, I don't know how I forget the name, but they have like 3 little islands, like Christmas Cove and the other one, and they do excursions there, they do snorkeling. I have been on the boat with the people who come from the ships, and they love that.
They do.
They love, like, they literally love it. They would stay for hours, like the entire day in one spot.
Yes. Absolutely. No, think about it. How many folks here would find that like really super cool? Yeah, because you experience it every day from you were born. But think about someone who was raised in New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, which is where, I currently work, right? Not at all. What we do have are traffic congestion. So we're hearing the noise in our ears all the time. And as I mentioned earlier, we want to get away from it, right? So those are memorable experiences because in the hospitality and tourism industry, that's what we're creating. We're creating experiences, right? We want to create memorable experiences, whether it's medical tourism, wellness tourism, or just normal, regular, different types of activity tourism. That's what we're creating, memorable experiences.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm sorry. I just have a question for the class. Think about in the Virgin Islands, do we have tourists or do we have the other model?
excursionists,
We have more excursionists than tourists.
yes.
That's a mistake we have. Because that doesn't really benefit the community. It benefits the cruise ships and the big organizations, not the community. And we need to focus in the tourists. So we need to focus on the experience. That's the mindset that we need to shift. And that's why this presentation is so important.
Go ahead and let us.
Go ahead.
Because if you think about it, every excursionist that comes here, we get a percentage of that cut. Because they're not coming here for free. We get paid a tax.
Okay, do you know the percentage? And I'll share something else with you.
I don't know the correct percentage, but I do know, because I used to work on the dock, so I
Right.
know that every cruise ship here, and every person that comes after that cruise ship, we get a tax.
Okay.
After that.
How much of that do we have to?
So here's where tourism. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So I was going. Oh, go for it.
Okay, so for like example, the people on Main Street, when the people come out for the tourist boats, and I know it's coming when I walk up and so she come home like every night, she like on the boat, they ain't buying anything.
Yep.
You know, she work in commission, so she need to make money. And then they have the tourists that actually comes in and they actually come in the store and they want to buy stuff.
Yes.
The people that come off the ship just want to look around and they're like, oh, I could get this cheaper where I'm from. They don't buy anything.
Yes.
So we still, and that's why like I understand that we get a lot of excursionists here, but most of our money comes from the tourists.
Yes, absolutely. And then I'll explain something that's a problem for the tourism industry.
My research, what I did on the economy, a couple weeks back, I found that the cruise ship industry brings in the most, it's like the biggest sector of our tourism. So it brings in about 3 million every year. So
3 million? Okay, that's in the big scheme of
that
things.
was the research that I found.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if it's outdated or what, but that's what I found.
So here's where one of the big problems with tourism. I really appreciate your comment because yes, tax dollars are important as well, right? So there's, I don't know how the structure is. I'm sure the cruise ships pay a large amount of fees to use the docks, etc. But one of the big problems with tourism is leakage. Leakage. Money that is spent goes right back. Let me ask you something. This afternoon I saw Carnival. What was that ship called again? It's a carnival celebration, right? Carnival celebration. I don't know how many cabins they have, but that's a few thousand, right? Where is this? Where is their ship based? Where is it based? Cape Canaveral, Florida, right? Cape Canaveral, Florida. All right? When the guests or passengers pay their fees, where do they pay it? Florida. Okay? How much of that comes here? That's the problem. No, not at all. So the problem that we face with tourism is one of significant leakage, right? When the cruise ships come here, yes, they do provide some income, right? But the majority of the money that is spent stays in the country of origin of the guest, of the tourist. It stays there. So for each dollar, a few cents might make it here. A few cents, especially for cruise. And then the problem with cruise, yes, you have that influx on a daily basis. When they come, they might spend a few dollars in the economy, and a few dollars might circulate, but most of it stays in the home country. And take a look at all the souvenirs that are sold. How much of it is made locally? The food that is being consumed, where does it come from? Okay, so the money that goes in goes back out. And how much of it stays in the local economy? Not much, if any. Yes, there are tax dollars. Yes, there are employment opportunity. But one of the major problems, and it's not just here, faced by global or international tourism is the problem of leakage. Most of the money goes back to where it's coming from. But it does provide a lot of income. But remember, keep in mind also that you as residents also have to contend with the congestion, okay? The congestion. So yes, you have some economic benefits, but you can also have some social problems. Every time you have 5 cruise ships here, what happens to the roads? Yesterday, for example, did you have to take alternative routes? There you go. So the problem we always face with tourism is that do the social problems outweigh the financial or economic rewards, or is it like this? And this is not unique here. It's pretty much everywhere. So what we always try to do is to see if we can find that balance. And I was very pleased that when we took our little tour, that I saw some local cottage industry, local business people. They had their little stalls, like Mama's shop, Mama's cook shop, Mama shop. Yes, yes. I was very happy to see that. All of the shops there were not just typical chain, American owned, but some local folks are also participating in the tourism resources that are coming in. But generally speaking, if you had a choice, you can get more income out of tourists as opposed to excursionists. In terms of money spending in the economy, taxes, yes. You're going to get a lot of money coming from the taxes because these are huge cruise ships, right? So they have to pay significant taxes. But in terms of actual tourists one-to-one, you want to have more people being tourists. And the longer they stay, the better it is because the money circulates throughout the economy. And we like it because it has what is called the multiplier effect, meaning it's new money coming in and it's multiplying and trickling through the economy. Okay, it's new money coming in. It's not us you spending your money in the economy. That's money that's already here. When tourists come in with their tourist dollars, like I'm here for a little bit, I'm spending a few coins on souvenirs. That is new money that is being circulated throughout the economy. And I also, as a tourist, have to pay taxes, room tax. Okay, taxes. If I rent a car, I buy gas, I have to pay taxes on it. I buy souvenirs, I have to pay taxes on it. So more money is being spent and it circulates more throughout the economy.
So
but
we're really using the wrong term for the people that come here through the ships. We think they are tourists, and they are not.
Excursionist.
Now we need to make sure that we understand that and what
Yes.
are the consequences, so we can focus on the right thing.
Yes.
I want to ask the whole excursionists and tourists. I think you got to probably keep in mind is how many excursionists come to us.
Yes, you have a lot. There are thousands, right? There are thousands of excursionists
That
become tourists. How often do they stay overnight? But, or they come back, like repeat?
Yeah, but that's after a while. Like I met people that been on the cruise ship.
Yep.
And they're like, hey, I've been here before. And I
Yep.
came back. And then they come back and they live. But that's years after. It's not like immediately, oh, well, I come on the cruise ship tonight. And I decide, oh, well, I'm going back on the ship.
Yes.
I want to spend a week here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's different type of tourism.
That's yes.
We were talking about with
we
him
talking about
that the people that come here in the ships may be the only trip that they do in
Yes.
their entire life.
Yep.
You know, whereas the wellness has more continuity.
Yes. And then if you think about it, thank you. And if you think about it as well, and this might be a research question, project for you. Think about the price for one of those cruise. Some are. But most of them are very inexpensive because the ship, you're in hospitality and tourism, it is easier for the cruise ship to sell the cabins at break even than for it to go empty. So if you live in Florida or if you have time, you can, so I get all these emails where you can just last minute just book and come for nothing. $300, that's it. Whereas you sell a room at $300 a night during your peak season, right? But when the cruise ship needs to be filled, especially Carnival, Royal Caribbean is a little bit different because they have more upscale. But Carnival, they just want warm bodies in cabins, and they have these massive ships, and you spend a few $100s, and you come to this beautiful island for a day, and that's it. So a good research question could be that one here could explore is, what percentage of cruise ship passengers that visit the island return as tourists? So that's a nice research topic that someone could explore. You know, what percentage of cruise ship passengers who visit, essentially they come back. And the other thing too is cruise ship passengers, generally speaking, if you were to look at their profile, do not like to take the same cruise over and over. They want to visit different destinations. So there's little repeat patronage. Whereas tourists, if they spend time at a destination and they like it, they develop an emotional connection with the people, the culture, and the place. And they go back. Not the same loyalty for cruise ship passenger. They're a different profile of tourists.
Right.
You don't agree? You don't agree?
Yes.
I agree to an extent because I've been saying work on the dock for over like 2 years. So I've met people that have came on the same ship.
But what percentage?
Like I said, I don't know.
There you go. There you go. No, oh, you will. If you have 10, how many cruise ship passengers come here every year? So let's say 1 million. 300,000, let's say might be more. Let's say 300,000 or 500,000. If I get 500,000 excursionists and only 10,000 come back as repeat, am I successful? No. There we go. All right, great spending time with you. You have my contact information. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to communicating with you. And importantly, if I can help with your career as well, I'll be more than happy to do so. So don't be a stranger. Reach out to me, and I'll be happy to get back to you. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a good night. And I see you
Tuesday. All right.
Take care, guys. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
And everyone got a pen, right? And does anyone need a pen for their friend, sister, brother, mother? Do you get pens?
A card.
Card? Oh. Reach out to